Hello guys, today we're gonna change the rotor and the brake pads. So now I just removed the bracket. So that's the bracket and the pads. I'll be remove them. That's the caliper. And that's the bracket and the pads. The pads and the bolts that I've removed from the caliper and the bracket. But before, we'll need to remove those two screws. Now we're gonna unscrew these two bolts that's holding the rotor brake pad. So when we remove these two, now we can remove the rotor. Okay, so let's do that. So now we're gonna remove those brake pads and we're gonna put the new ones. So now I'm gonna show you how to remove this. It's easy. So you just pull it, or you can use a flat screwdriver or any type of screwdriver just to peel it off. And then after, I'm gonna replace it by a new ones. So these are garbage, so I'm gonna clean the surface and install some NTCs, and then yeah, that's it. Take a metal brush and then brush them. So you brush the other side too. You can use a screwdriver or anything to remove the bigger piece, like that. Use a brush again. Yeah, so that's it. So now I'm gonna use brake cleaner so I can clean the surface I just brushed, and then I can put a little NTCs. So the way you install those, so you just push them like that, so you can hear the click. So that's the way you install them. Okay, so for these you can add some NTCs first. Actually, I forgot to add some, so I'm gonna add before. Alright, it's this thing here. You can get this at Kia Tire, anywhere with mechanic tools. Okay, so now we're gonna install the pads. So the way you install them, actually you just push this in like that, like that. Like that, and then you put the other one too. So you make sure the round one, the round side, it's out, it's facing out like that, not like that. Understand? Like that, but the round surface is facing out. So this, you just push it like that. So this is easy to, this is how you install your pads. Okay, so now I'm gonna take you to the car. We're gonna push the cylinder inside here. So as you can see, it's pushed out. Now I'm gonna push this piece here down. So for this, we're gonna use this tool, so I can push it back in. So now I'm gonna clean the surface with the brake cleaner. So I'll remove all the grease from the manufacturer. Like that. So I'm gonna do the same for this too. Inside. I'll clean the surface, everything. So I'll do the same for the other one, because I'm changing both of them, the rear one. So this one is all clean, and then I'll do the same for the other one. So now I'm gonna install the rotor. So as you can see, there's two holes here. One is for the screw there, here. So make sure they're aligned. So I'm gonna install them, so I'll show you exactly where to put it. So as you can see, the holes, I put it where I can put back these screws that I removed from the old ones. So one there and one there. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So now, before I install the screws for the rotor that I showed you, I'm gonna put some anti-seize for next time I replace my water. Alright, for the next time. So I'm gonna put on the tip of these two screws, so for next time it will be easier to remove. Okay, all right. So like I showed you, I'm gonna put that screw back in, actually those two screws back in, so it stays, for the rotor can stay in place before I put my caliper. All right. And then after, I'm just gonna screw them back. Like that. After I install the screws, I'll clean this again. just to make sure. So I remove all the grease. So after I give it a quick wipe like that, remove all the grease. So now, what's next? I'm gonna install bracket. The piece that was attached with the caliper. It was attached with those bolts with the caliper. So now it goes like that. I'm gonna install them, and then after I'll install the caliper. Okay. So I just installed the first one, and the other one is all in the back here. So now I'm gonna tighten them just to make sure I don't forget them first. So it's a 14 size, 14 millimeters. I have an extension, so I put it on top of it, and then I put my burr. It will be better with a ratchet if you have a ratchet, but I'm not at home right now, so I don't have my ratchet with me. Okay, so I'll do it first by hand, the other one too, and I'll tighten them. Okay, so after I installed those two bolts, this one here and the one in the back there, I don't know if you can see it, I made sure they're tight, and then I'll install my caliper. Like, it's gonna sit on top of the pads here. So now I only have one hand for the camera, one hand for the caliper. So just before you install them, you make sure the hose, let me touch it so you can see it, the hose for the caliper, it's not cracked or it's not twisted. Okay, you make sure of that, because if it is, it will crack, and then eventually it will leak and you will be out of brakes. So make sure it's nice and no cracks on it. Okay, so I'll put down the camera. I'll install it. But before I install it, I make sure I showed it to you before in the video, but I make sure this piston, it's all way back. Before it was sticking out, but I push it back. Okay, so make sure, or else it'll be hard to fit the caliper on top of the pads. And sorry again for my English. I'm still learning English. Once I install the caliper, I'm gonna put some anti-seize here before I install the screw, and then I'll push it back right in. So the hole, like you can see, it's not put right now yet, but after I'm gonna push it back in this. All right. So now I'm tightening the final here, and the other one it's there. And but what I've realized that before I installed those screws first, it make it harder to install the caliper on top of the brake pads. So what I did, I unloosed the 2 bolts that I installed before. I just loosed them a little bit, and then I installed the 2 bolts for the caliper on top of the pads first, and then I'll start to tighten all 4 together, and not together but one at a time. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna tighten them. Yeah, so now the job is done. That's it.
So if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe. Have a nice day.